my volume? No, you good? All right. Good afternoon, Facebook family. Thank you all for joining us. For those of you all who weren't able to get in here, some of you all can't see the back, but it's standing room, so peace. Thank you. But I just wanted to do this live segment today and invite you all to come on this journey with me for the Mindset Movement of 2020. As I was explaining to the audience here today that I'm going out looking for people with the same mindset as myself. Those of you all who would bring others with you, not be afraid to share the information that we're going to learn here and some of the other segments that we're going to do moving forward into 2020. Vision 2020 is going to be extraordinary, exciting, and I invite you all to come on and come along with me. So the first person, the first thing I wanted to do, I wanted to take the privilege of giving out some little gifts that I have over here. And the first person that I wanted to acknowledge is Miss Bennett. Miss Bennett was the first person. I'm like, the first person here. And this is a nice little journal. I know you all got free journals, but this is a nice DIY journal from Gucci. Okay, thank you for being the first person here. And I look forward to okay. Oh, that's nice. All right, did Crystal show up? Okay. All right. So, one of the other things, the reason why we're here and what I wanted to focus on is talking about today what's called SWOT. Has anyone here ever participated at their jobs where they talked about SWOT? Andy? Not the military guys. Okay. So those of y'all who have your journals, you may want to take some notes, and we're going to talk about SWOT. Stefan, can you bring up that slide? So we're going to talk about moving forward some of our, and he's going to bring up a slide and you guys can take notes from that slide. And so what SWOT stands for is S.O.T. And what SWOT stands for is, it's a quadrant. Okay, so I want you to draw a quadrant. So you're going to have like a cross hairs. Okay, you're going to draw a quadrant. In your left quadrant, you're going to have the S, which is your strengths. So I want you to focus today on the strengths that you have. All right? What does everyone say about you? What do you say about yourself? What do you acknowledge as your strengths? Okay? Okay. And then underneath your strengths, we want to put the opportunities. What are the opportunities that you're facing right now that can help you catapult your career or your personal life to the next level? So what are your strengths in the first quadrant? And what are the opportunities that you're facing right now that will be able to assist you with going to the next level? And on the right side of the quadrant, we're going to put at the top right quadrant, you're going to put your weaknesses. What do you know that you have to address right now in order for you to make sure that you're going to the next level? Most people, we don't like to focus too much on our weaknesses, but we have to. If you're gonna grow, and if you're gonna go to the next level, no matter where you are, and just so you guys will understand, when we talk about wealth, wealth is all relative, okay, to the person. I used to always pride myself in being able to live under $2,500 a month, right? And I had my business partner for 20 years that's sitting up here in the front row We have a business called ML Solutions, and we've had that business for 20 years now. This year, 20 years now. We've been in business together with Mr. Dwight Drain and I. Dwight, do you mind standing up? That's Mr. Dwight Drain, 8 years in the NFL, 2 Super Bowls with Buffalo Bills. Are y'all doing something this year? What's going on? What is Buffalo doing? Oh, they're in the playoffs? Again? No. So Dwight played in 2 Super Bowls. Oh, okay, here they are. Okay, so Dwight played in 2 Super Bowls with the Buffalo Bills and played all over, some of these stadiums here. So he used to laugh and joke about some of his DNA is in every stadium across this country. But I used to pride myself off of being able to live under, it was $2,000, right, Dwight? It was $2,000. And Dwight, it was funny because from 1998 to probably about 2010, I didn't pay any of my own bills. Dwight paid all of my bills. And I tell this story because I was afraid of money. I never knew how much money we had, and we were we had nice big checks and nice big bank accounts. But I knew a person who had that type of money would be a good steward over our money. So I would always ask him, I'd be like, well, Dwight, can I go to, the Miami-Dade Chambers having an event, can I buy a dress? And he, of course you can, you know what I mean? Because I didn't know how much money, and I was so afraid of not knowing whether or not I had money or not. And some of y'all have heard this story. And this is the person who paid my bills until 2010? Yeah, around 2010. And he was just like, you got to start doing it this, you got to do this yourself. And I was like, but I was so afraid. I was like, I don't think that I will be able to do this. And he was like, well, you really don't have any bills. $2,500 was like one of his bills. But he's like, you really don't have any bills. And that was my whole entire life. Okay? So that was one of my weaknesses that I had a problem. And fear is a weakness. Fear is truly a weakness. And so the next thing we want to talk about are the threats. What is it that will threaten you mentally that's not going to help you get to the next level? What are some of the threats? Is it the stinky thinking that we talk to ourselves every morning we get up in the morning? We're like, oh, I'm fat. I need to put stretch pants on today instead of them jeans. Or I need to go here, or, whatever it is. So those are the things that we want to focus on moving forward, and these things will definitely change throughout this year. They're going to change. This is a revolving door. These things are definitely going to change. So these are some of the things that I want you guys to focus on. These are your external factors. These are things that are not, that are not things that you really sometimes will have control over. Opportunities are things that people are going to present to you. Threats are things that people are going to push on you, and the internal things are the strengths and the weaknesses. These are some of the things that you really can control yourself. Okay? So the first person on our wealth journey that I'm going to bring up that's going to assist us today, let's see, we're going to have ladies first. So we're going to have Miss Dawn Titus is going to come and join us on the carpet. This is Miss Dawn Titus, everybody. Okay. Hello and welcome, Dawn.
Hi, how are you, Sora?
I am amazing. I'm amazing. I know you guys see all this pink and green. And Dawn is responsible for the hair and the head wrap. Yeah, so Dawn, thank you so much for joining us today. And I have a little gift here that I am going to give you. And this is from our friends at Chapin. Okay?
Thank you so much.
All right. Okay. So Dawn, that your topic today that you're going to cover with everyone is manifestations. Right. And so we want to talk about manifestation and what that means. And so if you would introduce yourself, I would greatly appreciate it to the camera and the audience.
Well, my name is Dawn Titus. I am a yoga priestess. My priestess name is Ianifa, which is a title, and Faje Murela, which means Ifa brings wealth. Ife Tayo, which means love brings sunshine, and Fakayore, which means God who is with us. So my entire name is Ianifa Faje Murela, Ife Tayo, Fakayore.
Okay.
And whenever you speak my name, you are speaking those things in existence. So please, learn my name.
Okay. So thank you very much. So I asked you to come and talk about manifestation because you and I have spent a lot of time together and we've spoken about some of the things that have come to fruition in your life and how you were able to bring that. So if you don't mind telling the audience how that happened and how early back you started experiencing with manifestation.
Well, the most important thing concerning manifestation is visualization. You have to be able to visualize yourself accomplishing your end goal. So no matter what it is, if you decide you want a new car, a new house, you want $1 million in your bank account, or whatever, you have to be able to visualize the end result. Once you visualize the end result, you've planted a seed in your mind that that's what you want to accomplish. And then you work from where you are, step by step, to get to that end result. Constantly keeping in mind what it is that you want to accomplish. So I have a little story about a situation that I encountered. A couple of years back, I decided that I wanted to build a house. And it wasn't just any old house, it was just a house that was 10,000 square feet. And coming out of the projects, living next door to the Caleb Center, yes, that's where I'm from, that was a little bit of a jump to go from living in the projects to building a 10,000 square foot home, having not received anything from my parents or having not received anything, a financial gift from a friend or any of those things. So the first thing we did was we got the plans to the house. And we said, okay, this is the house that we're going to build. And we began to see ourselves in that home. We began to see the colors of the walls and the furniture that we wanted to put in the house. And then we decided to go on the journey of what the steps that it would take to make that happen. Now, sometimes it takes sacrifice. There is no doubt about it. But you have to be ready and willing to do what it takes to get you from point A to point B. When we started, we decided we wanted to live on the water. So we went looking for a property that was under $1 million on the water. And we found in Central Florida a nice little property that was on the water. It cost about $400,000. So it's like 10% of that is what? $40,000. So we had to get $40,000. That was the first thing. I didn't have any money, and neither did my husband at that time. And so we began to work toward getting that $40,000 to put down on that property. That was the first step. It was an empty lot. We purchased the property with me having a 525 credit score. And his score wasn't all that much better. But we didn't let those things get in our way because we had set in our minds what we wanted and we were going to make that manifest. So the next step was to get a construction loan because we already had our plans. We had our plans first. Most people don't do that. Most people get a lot and then they say, well, what can I put on this lot? No, we were not going to settle for that. We got the plans and it was like, okay, what lot will this plan fit on? Wow. And we went and purchased the lot. So then we worked on the construction loan. Started working on the construction loan. So at that time, once we got the general contractor on board and they started to build the house, we had a payment of a significant amount of money every month, and then every third month we had a balloon payment of about $9,000 or $10,000. That was a lot of money. So what we did is we downsized from where we were living. We moved into a little apartment where we paid $1,000 that paid for everything, the electricity and everything. So you can only imagine what kind of an apartment this was. You all know it was a little apartment paying $1,000 a month. And then they told us that it was going to take 18 months to build the house. So we sat down and we laid out. See, it takes work to make things manifest. Don't let anybody fool you unless you're going to win the lottery that it doesn't take work to make things happen. It takes work and it takes sacrifice. So we decided what do we need to do in order to get through every 3 months paying that $10,000 balloon, as well as making those monthly payments and continuing to live and getting to the point of moving into that home once it was finished. So we decided that we had to eat chicken 365 days. Now I got really creative. And I have to admit, living in the project with my mom, that definitely helped. I cooked chicken 365 ways for my family. But that allowed us to save the money that we needed to save. Now we're on our journey making this manifest. But I can honestly tell you, not only did I feed chicken to my family 365 days, I went out on that construction site every day. I managed that project. I ended up saving us $200,000 on that project because I fed those guys that worked on that project every day. What did I feed them? Chicken. I fed them chicken every day. And when things manifested to the point where you always have some issues with subcontractors. When I had issues with subcontractors, the general contractor's crew would always jump in and fix it for me at no cost because I was being kind to them. They didn't have to bring lunch and not a single day. So, make a long story short, when we got to the end of that project, we closed on that project, we had $2.8 million in equity. Wow. In that home. So that was a part of my net worth going from living in the projects next to the Caleb Center to $6.4 million. Wow.
Thank you very much, Sarah. I really appreciate it. So once again, let me make sure I didn't have any more questions that I needed to ask you. But yeah, you did that. So thank you very much. And Dawn is going to be in room number 5. So when we're done with the Facebook Live, then you guys will go to breakout sessions. You'll have little slips, and you go to breakout sessions, and she'll go more in depth on how to actually manifest every single day. So you can do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. So the next person that I'm going to bring to the couch is a person. I met this gentleman over the phone, and I was so impressed with the information. Those of you all who know me know that if you're given information, you have me glued to the phone. Like if you're giving me some information, I am a sucker for information. So he was giving information, and I was like, wow, this can actually happen. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, I was taking all these notes, and we were driving. I remember we were taking a little trip somewhere, and he was on the phone on the conference call, and it was like a lot of business partners in the car, and I was writing down all of these notes, and I was taking these notes, and then he went out of town or something, and then I had another project, and I sent him an email, and I got on the phone with him, and I said, listen, if you get my email address right, because most people don't, if you get my email address right, then we can do business together. and he was on point. He got my email address right, sent the information to me, and I was like, okay, this is the person I'm gonna stay stuck to because of the information that he has, and I can't wait for you guys to get the information that he has. It's gonna help a lot of you all. I know a lot of you all are business owners, and this gentleman is really going to give you some information that's going to be able to help you. So, Mr. Arthur Lewis, Mr. AJ, I wanted you to come on up. And AJ is going to talk about asset protection for you and your family. AJ, thank you for coming. All right. And I have a little something special for you from our folk at Gucci.
Thank you. The minute my wife sees this ribbon, she's taking it, so whatever it is.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yes, you're absolutely right. Your wife is amazing. Okay, AJ, so when I first met you, we were talking about, you were talking about some asset protection. And that was not foreign to me, but the way that you broke it down and you made it so simple. You know, I was on your phone 12 times a day, texting you like, okay, can this happen? Can that happen? Can this happen? Can that happen? And how can those things happen? And so, AJ, if you don't mind introducing yourself, telling the people a little something about you.
Well, I'm AJ Lewis. I'm originally from California. I've been here for a couple years now, and I own 5 different finance companies. Where we teach finance, we help people with money for projects, and we do a number of things around the world. We teach asset protection, which is we work with clients on an individual basis to make sure that they are well protected. A lot of people say, you know, I want to make sure that my family is taken care of in the event of my demise. Well, we tell people, what if you live? We want people to have those assets protected, and have those assets to take care of you in the event of an emergency. We want to make sure that all bases are covered, and we work very hard at doing that.
So how long have you been in the business?
I've been in this business for over 30 years. I started pretty young, and I worked with a number of elite attorneys in this business. I'm not an attorney. I'm fully licensed in the financial field. I don't use those licenses, and you'll understand why as I get into some of the things that I do, because some of the things that we do are out of the box. And when I say out of the box, they don't fit the modality of what these financial regulators want you to have. So, and I'm sure I see the young lady who sells insurance, I'm sure she's familiar with that. Anyone that is licensed to do anything in the financial field, you're held by a lot of strict standards, and by being held by those standards, we weren't able to deliver the product to the client. The client had to fit the mode of the product rather than product fitting the mode of the client. Mm-hmm. So we wanted to have the project or product, whatever the client wanted, fit the mode of the client rather than the client have to fit it. So we stepped outside of that, and we've been ultra successful at what we do.
So why would you say that asset protection is so important for the individual? First, let's talk about the family setting and the family unit.
Asset protection is probably the single most important aspect of financial planning. Because if you plan to accumulate wealth, you must plan to protect that wealth. If you don't protect it, that wealth will get away from you very, very quickly. You could be sued any day by anyone. This is a litigious society, and we know that you're going to be sued if you are having any success at all. People are going to take shots at you. That's just the way that this world, crazy world, works that we live in. So protect your assets. Most people think that they don't have assets worth protecting. I beg to differ. Each of you in this room have assets that are worth protecting. It's important that you take a minute, you think about it, and you start to formulate a plan to protect your assets. Not necessarily with me, but with someone who can help you to protect all the assets that you've amassed to this point in your life, whatever those assets are, whether whether it's vehicles, whether it's home, whether it's whatever it is that you have that has value to you, then that's an asset that's worth protecting. Asset protection also allows you to articulate those assets that you want to give to your children perhaps at someday without tax consequences. It helps you to do a lot of things inside of wealth management that people just don't think about. By thinking about it, you become very familiar with how these things work and come together to make sure that you have the protection that you need for whatever your asset base is.
So I know that there's some things that we're going to talk about that you guys would get an opportunity to hear from AJ offline. That, like he said, there's some things and some products that are available to us that I had no idea about, and that made me like stay stuck to him like glue. I'm like, And some of you guys who know me know that I've called you and I told you about there's some things, and we need to find some people that's going to share this information so we can do what we need to do. Okay? So how is asset protection valuable to the business owner? Because most business owners think that they just need to have business insurance.
Right.
So,
in all businesses, there needs to be what's called an operating agreement. Inside of that operating agreement, it tells what that business is established to do. If you look at the title of this book, this is the Bible that I kind of live by. It talks about wealth preservation, and for closely held business owners, what it does is it teaches you how to operate while you have that business, but it also teaches you how to transition into your private life after you're ready to exit that business. So it gives you a number of business strategies that allow you to be successful inside of your business, work without fear, and allow yourselves to be as, I would say, as motivated as you can be to be the best in your business that you can.
alrighty, so when we take a break and you guys get an opportunity to go to sit down with AJ, you're going to be super excited and blown away on some of the things that he's going to talk about. That is not on the surface, but you guys, especially if you're in business, you need to hear some of the stuff. Okay? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go to the next person that I want to acknowledge. I'm going to take a little, this time when it comes to the couch, we're going to take a moment to acknowledge this person. And I am going to, that person, Dr. Gaines. Just wanted to acknowledge Dr. Gaines. I'm going to bring her up to the couch. She's not doing any type of training today or anything, but I just wanted to bring her up to the couch and have her to give her testimonial. But Dr. Gaines and I are from Fort Pierce, and we've been friends for a very long time. I know she's looked up to me as her big sister, but I also look up to her as a powerhouse mother, woman in the community. I mean, she is just all of that. I mean, I tell Ray sometimes has 5 or 6 events in a day. It's just like my Sarah Carlin. They just go all day long. I'm like, you need a battery in the, I check them for a battery in their back because they're always constantly going. But they're going and they're doing things that those are the type of people that I need around me, because I'm not that type of person. I'm a extroverted introvert. I'm that type of person. I love to be at home. I prefer to be at home. Most people don't know that. They think that I'm that person that likes to be outside. No, I like to be at home. I like people like this around me. I'm like, yeah, you go to the event and tell me what happened. But Ray had a situation and she publicly talked about it. That's the reason why I'm bringing her up on the couch. She had a situation. She's going to tell you her story. But one thing I wanted to do is acknowledge you, Ray. This is a little small token, you know. This is a little small something, but just for being here today and helping me with the registration, I greatly appreciate it. This is, you know, a nice little journal that we can put some pictures from trips that we will actually make the next time. so here's a little journal for you. But Ray, if you don't mind telling your story and why this journey that you know that I brought you in on is so important that you think that everyone else would benefit from. And I know that, but she has the, you know, what we talking about? Our weaknesses. Okay, so she'll write all day, but she don't want to talk. But she gonna talk today.
Well, about 6 years ago, I had a situation that ultimately ended up getting a divorce. And prior to the divorce, I needed a place to stay. So I talked with a friend of mine who helped me look for places, you know, the male friend, and, you know, they like to take advantage of women. So I asked him to meet me at the various properties so that he could kind of give me a different perspective, because I wanted out and I needed a place to stay, and I didn't want to be impulsive, and I knew that he would make sure that I wasn't impulsive. So I found a place to stay, and then I had to make a decision, and that decision was to short sell my house that I had prior to my divorce, which meant I had to stop making payments on it. You know, I really didn't want to get rid of the property because I picked the house, I picked everything in the house. You know, me and my 2 kids, we really liked it. But the commute was too much. I lived in Palm Beach and worked in Fort Lauderdale, and I was driving 130 miles round trip a day, in addition to whatever activities that they had. So we practically lived in the car. They ate breakfast in the car, they ate dinner in the car, they did everything in the car. And I thought that was just extremely unfair to my kids. So I made the decision to short sell the property, and I tried to get renters, but all of those fell through. So once I made that decision, of course, my credit tanked. You know, I took pride in having good credit, and it was bad. My credit at one point was in the mid 500s, and prior to that, though, my car died on my way to take my son to the bus stop. So I had to leave my car in the street and walk into the bus stop, and then try to figure out what I was going to do. So my old go-to friend, I called him. I was like, look, I need a car. Can you help me go to the car place and find a car, please? So he met me at the car dealership. We made a few calls, and I don't know how at this time,
Relationships.
when I got to the dealership, I don't know, whatever the relationship he had with the gentleman at the car dealership, it worked. Because I was able to leave that day with the car after running for like a week and trying to figure out what I was going to do. So I had to get my kids to school. So eventually my credit got down to like in the mid 500s. So talked to Michelle. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is not good at all. But I had a place to stay. You know, I had a mortgage. I was paying my mortgage. And during this process, my kids' insurance lapsed. Not because of me, but it happened. Not my fault, I swear. And that sent me into a panic, because the day I found out that the insurance had lapsed, that night I had to take my daughter to the emergency room. So went to the emergency room. Do you have insurance? No. So we filled out the paperwork, whatever. The next day I had to take her back to the emergency room. So I ended up with a lot of medical debt for her. But I didn't feel that it was my responsibility because I didn't allow the insurance to lapse. that went on my credit list. So I was like, Michelle, you gotta help me. It took almost 4 years for me to sell my house. That was in short sale. I had several contracts that all fell through, and I cried many nights because I just wanted the process over. And it just seemed like it was never gonna end. It was just a nightmare. And January of this year, my house finally sold. And immediately I called Michelle, I was like, how you gonna get this on my credit? She was like, you have to wait. And you don't realize how much time is involved in what she has to do. She got the medical bills off my credit 3 times, but someone kept buying the debt and putting it back on. It was like I would get excited, do one leg up dance in her office, because my credit was going up, and then it would show up again. I was like, can you just get this off and like let it stay off? And she's like, just be patient, eventually it'll go away, I promise. And so after the house sold and it showed up finally, everything showed up on my credit. I called her, I was like, it's on there. It's like, you need to work your magic and get it off, because it's stuff I want to do. Like my only goal, I swear, was to get a Platinum American Express card. I kid you not. That was the only thing that I wanted. It's like, for some people that's like, oh, that's just dumb. But for me, that was my everything. I said, listen, all I want is a Platinum American Express card, because I had one at one point and it just hurt me to my heart not to have it anymore. So we went through the process, and it was a long process. It really was. I'm like, Michelle is still on there. What you doing? Like, we're supposed to be sisters. You're supposed to help me out. And then she kept telling me, just be patient, be patient, be patient. And finally, I went online one day, right before we left to go to Dubai, which we never made. But that's another story. I checked and I called her and said, Michelle, guess what? And she was like, what? I was like, my credit score is like 756. And she was like, what? And I was like, yes, everything is off. The credit that they reported with the insurance, the medical bills, the house, everything is off. And she was like, I told you it was gonna happen. I don't understand why you're getting all excited. I said, girl, you just don't know. I can buy stuff.
So the reason why I have Dr. Rashandia Gaines come and sit on the couch is because Ray is the measuring stick for a lot of people, the yardstick. People look at Ray and they say, oh, she has everything going on together. She never has anything going wrong. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because no matter where you are or what the other people, one thing that my mom always taught me was you can't look at what another person has and sit up and say, oh, okay, I want what they have, because you don't know what they're going through or what they have gone through. And this is what, when we talk about mindset and her being a project of mine. Now, this was a rough project because we're so close, and the fact that I want the very best for her. Like, if I could just write down what I want for her, I would just hand it to her on the paper. But I told her, you have to be patient. And you've had it before. You lost some things. Some things were taken away from you, but that does not define you. You guys have to understand that. When you're going through this wealth process, there are going to be some setbacks. There are going to be some goals that you're not going to be able to accomplish. When you think that you will accomplish those goals, it's not going to happen the way that you want it to happen. And so that's why I kept telling her, you have to be patient and you have to trust the process, right? And so with her being the lead faculty person at Nova University, I'm plugging, so y'all go get y'all teeth cleaned and all that. This is the dentist. You see that teeth? No teeth? Oh my God. Beautiful teeth. But I just need you guys to understand and see this process that she went through. It made her strong. So when she gets this wealth that she's about to amass right now, this wealth that's coming, she has a solid foundation, because you cannot build a house. How is a house built? Not from the roof down. It's built from the ground up, correct? And so this was her foundation that she had to go through because her house was torn down. Now we're in the process of rebuilding it. And I want you guys to join me, and I keep inviting you guys to join me on this journey as we build all the rest of these houses, figuratively and physically. You see, we're in a real estate office for a reason. Okay? We
I'm
will
an
be
extremely private person.
very private person. But she has gotten out of, she's had to face the mirror. The mirror is there. She has to stand in front of the mirror in the morning and face the music and say, hey, what is my foundation? You know, what are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? What are the opportunities that have been presented to me? And what are the threats that's going to, you know, avoid me, you know, from getting the wealth that I want? You know, so that's the reason why I brought Dr. Gaines up here and to say publicly thank you, because her testimony, what she typed on Facebook, saved lives. When I tell you guys, some of you guys know that I was doing my Facebook Live every week, and then I stopped. I stopped doing it because I didn't realize, it's like a minister. When a minister, you go and you say, all he does is preach on Sundays, right? That's all he does. He just show up and he preach on Sunday. Why he make all that money? But you don't know what the pastor does from Monday through Saturday. They got funerals on Saturday, they have this, they have all of this stuff during the week, and it's a lot of pressure. When I was doing those Facebook Lives every week, and I talked with Dawn about this, and I prayed about this, so many people were coming from all over the place, calling me and saying, one, I was just gonna kill myself. Your story saved me. I had that. Remember I told you that story. I had that. My first Facebook Live. I had three young ladies that were on the verge of committing suicide. One young lady was at work. Okay? Crisis. Had to get her emergency ambulance to the office. That close. But because I said, I'm taking everybody with me. I can't do it alone. I'm not going to do it alone. I'm going to drag you. I'm going to pull. I'm going to put all of you guys around me. And I told her the same thing. If we have to stay up all night and cry and whatever we have to do, we're going to do that. But we're going to get a family of people that are like-minded, and we're going to help, and we're going to save as many lives as we can. Because you guys don't understand the pressure having her title as a doctor and riding with her kids 130 miles in a vehicle. They getting dressed. Mommy, can you go here? She had a diver, then she got a cheerleader. She got to be at two places at one time as a single parent, trying to raise her kids. All of this pressure on her. Then she got to go and perform. Then she got to be the superstar sorority sister for Delta Sigma Theta. You know what I'm saying? She got to do all of these community events. And then she's sitting up here with a 520 credit score. Car broke down in the middle of the street. But she's still going. We can't give up. I have one friend that committed suicide a couple of years ago because she didn't value what she was going. She didn't value our friendship. I feel this wholeheartedly that she did not value our friendship enough to come and say, I'm in trouble financially. She got out of here. And I tell this story with passion because I don't want to lose anybody else because of money. We've had it, haven't we? We've lost it. We got it back. We lost it. It's just money, guys. It's just money. It is nothing too hard for God. Okay? If you're going through foreclosure, we can fix it. There's a young man in here, works miracles. And I'm not trying to plug anybody's business, but I need you guys to understand that it is nothing that you're going through. Facebook, in the audience, is nothing that you're going through financially that you cannot fix. Help somebody, ask somebody, talk to somebody, and stop being Secret Service agents around here. Because everybody doesn't have it all together. There's nobody out here that has it all together. You can have 12 figures in your bank account and have nobody to love you. And you can have somebody that loves you and y'all don't have a pot. Okay, you don't have a pot or a window. Okay. Evangelist Michelle, come on back. Okay.
Michelle, and I wasn't going to write it or say anything about it. I was just, the people who I wanted to know knew. And she told me, she was like, you have to write it. I was like, I don't want everybody in my business.
Right.
And she's like, you don't know what impact you will have on people by what you are going to say. And I was like, oh God, it's like everybody in the world gonna know how jacked up my credit was. But, you know, she told me to do it. She encouraged me to do it. And I sat down and I wrote a lengthy post about it. And I can't even tell you how many people sent me inboxes, text messages, emails, called me about what I had written and how it encouraged them to be able to do it. And, you know, I commend Michelle because I know I was a pain in the butt to her throughout this process, but I commend her, and then I have special friends that I was able to lean on through the process. And there were times throughout that separation and divorce that I didn't think I was going to be able to make it. Plain and simple. But it was because of them and their support for me that I reconsidered some things. And, you know, it's a lot to have to deal with being a single parent. You know, and there are some of you that are single parents, and there are some dads that are single dads. You know, and it's a lot, or be it a mom or a dad. You know, and you have a lot of responsibilities, and you want your kids to do well, and you want them to succeed. And that's a lot of pressure on you, especially when you have succeeded. And like I said, I'm extremely private, and at no time did I talk to my parents about what I was experiencing. And I probably could have gone to them to get help, but I didn't want to do that because I wanted to do it on my own. And it wasn't their burden to bear. You know, it ended up being my burden and a couple of friends' burden. But it worked out nonetheless. And, you know, I owe everything that I have right now with my complete financial turnaround. I owe it all to Michelle. And I'm not saying that because she's my sister friend. I'm saying that because it's true. I owe it all to her. She was extremely encouraging and, you know, positive throughout the whole thing. And you best believe I went right to her house after it was all over, and I got my Platinum American Express card.
Let me see who I can bring up the lightness. Everybody okay? Y'all learning something?
Always. Need my teeth clean.
All right, so the next person I'm going to bring up, I met this gentleman at a friend of a friend's house. And we were sitting down and we were talking about some things, and we had some things in common. And the one thing that we had in common at this particular time was we said we didn't like humans. We didn't like humans. My nieces back there like, what? You didn't like humans?
No, I don't like humans either.
Okay.
Very horrible.
And but we came together on some what type of dog is that? Okay. All right. For everyone that's in the room, I am severely, did they just tell you, allergic to men. Yeah. All right. There you go. Y'all trying to knock me out. All right. It's some gum, it's some candy, it's some gum, it's cinnamon. So the next person that I'm gonna bring up to the couch, like I said, we had some common grounds on some differences that we had about how to handle people and how to teach people how to treat us. And that was one of the things that I struggled a lot with, is being, let me see. I'll just let him come up and talk about some of the things that he's taught me, Mr. Daryl Jones. and that's about how to be a life warrior. No problem. No problem. So, Daryl, you want to introduce yourself?
Greetings, everyone. Now, come on, man. This brunch, I know y'all have something to drink. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
My name is Daryl Jones. I'm a life warrior. I get that because I've been through life, and sometimes, as you all know, that's why we're here. Life can be a challenge, as we just heard the story from Dr. Gaines, that sometimes people check out of. But sometimes you gotta put your head down and grind through it. And so I did some time in the United States Marine Corps, which is, any veterans in here? Okay, there you go, you got a couple. So we really, I did time in the United States Marine Corps with my good friend Tim. There's really only one branch. I won't hold it against you if you want to do another. I'm messing with you. But
Air Force.
to Air Force, thank you for your service, all the veterans. Thank you all. But I've been through some interesting places, just like Tim has. I'm sure those of you that have been in the military have been to some very, very interesting places overseas, and no stranger to conflict, no stranger to turmoil, no stranger to danger, beans, bullets, band-aids, bombs blowing up. In today's times, it's not that different here. It's just different types of enemies, different type of environment. So the life warrior term comes from being a warrior. It doesn't matter where you're at, it doesn't matter where we're at. The battle zone is just a different place. It's just different tools to fight different battles. That's it. And so the life warrior comes from that. So thank you for having me here, Michelle, and I appreciate you for that. Thank you all for coming and having the patience to listen to me run my mouth for a few minutes.
So you have a unique philosophy about life, and it's called power. You want to talk about what the acronym of power means?
Power is an acronym. Really, it was designed because when I transitioned from the military, there's no real tool to help military veterans transition from that particular life of team environment to an individualistic society. So having to transition into this society and no tool, no one to turn to, the Creator gave me this system and this transitional phase. And so the POWER acronym actually goes and speaks to that. The P stands for something. The O, all the letters have different pillars that we'll talk about in the breakout session. But you put them together in a sequence, put them together in a realistic way that will allow you to transition continuously from one phase of life to the next phase of life. Also, to be able to stay in alignment with your goals, with your vision, with the direction, because we all know life can throw you on a different path. You're trying to react or respond. But when you put things in a right way, it allows you to stay on path. We'll talk about that as well. The second part of that is the life. Because you can have power, but where is that? What is power? Power is not about domination. Power is about efficacy. Power is about efficiency. Power is about influence. Do we have the influence to be able to, do we have the power to be able to influence ourselves? Anybody heard of John C. Maxwell?
Yes.
John C. Maxwell is a phenomenal leadership coach. He wrote this book called Developing the Leader Within. Before you can lead anybody else, you gotta lead who first? Yourself. All right, there's another book that I'll tell you guys about. Very, very powerful book. For me, it was Good Leaders Ask Great Questions. questions inform, great questions transform. Until there was a time in life when I was doing the same stupid thing over and over again and expecting different results, and we know that's the definition of insanity. Right. This dude right here, right? And during that time, yes, other people were involved in that process, but for the most part, who played a serious role, a primary role in that? So instead of looking at other people saying, hey, you know what, you did this, that's why that happened, no, D. You gotta look at yourself and be like, you gave permission for this, you saw this sign, you did this, A, B, and C equal D. And so, until I was able to look myself in the mirror, ask myself some very serious questions, and answer those questions very honestly and very truthfully about the stupid stuff that I was doing, my part in that situation, and the things that I did to make that situation either work or not work. I was not able to transform. So when I saw that, good leaders ask great questions. Good questions. Good leaders ask, great leaders ask great questions. I was able to transform and move from one phase of life doing stupid stuff to another phase of life where I'm aware and I can respond versus react. So now we have the power and then we have life. Where is it that I want the power to transition to? And the life acronym talks about the various different areas of life to where we can influence ourselves and place our power there to go in the direction that we want to go, the direction that is best for you, the direction that's best for us, and cumulatively, the direction that's best for us as a species, as a race, and as a community.
Awesome. And I just want to commend you because one of the things that I said that you have taught me is not to react. Just respond, but don't react. And I want to say thank you for that being the folk over at Gucci, and they sent you something special. I was like, so this is from your friends over at Gucci. They said thank you very much, and I greatly appreciate it. But that's Gucci, not. Thank you. So I greatly appreciate and value you for being here. Thanks for participating. Is there anything else you would like to say?
Well, yes. One of the things that I'm going to go into in the breakout session is the last letter in power. One of those pillars for the R is relationships. Some of you have probably heard me say it before. I like to play this game when I'm talking to people, and it's not an open one, but it's in my mind and in my heart. It's called "My Business Part is Better Than Yours." Because in life there will be someone that doesn't want anything from you but to see you succeed. Those people are very few, very far in between. You'll be lucky if you come in contact with 2. Sometimes 1. If you think you have 10 people in your circle that want nothing from you but to see you succeed, and you live in South Florida, you are sorely mistaken. And I mean that with all sincerity and genuineness, and no harm, to people, but the caliber of people in the world today are very interesting. I'm not saying that, there's just a bunch of bad people out there, but that's just the way life is at the moment. And so a lot of things that I too have learned, especially with regard to business and how to maneuver in business, and especially credit. We call her the Oracle, right? She is the credit whisperer, I'm telling you. I promise you. So I want to take an opportunity to tell her thank you for being one of those people that don't want anything from me but to see me succeed. Because much of where I'm at today, being here, like Dr. Gaines was telling her story, I don't have any family. This is the only family I got. And let me tell you, we fall out a lot. But you know, you have to be able to get yourself up and be like, okay, I'm not gonna let you get to me today, play out. It's cool. You can be mad. Like Chris Tucker said, you'll love me tomorrow. You know? So I want to say thank you to you. And I'm not just saying that just because of my mouth, but you know, I really do love you. I do love you. I don't.
Facebook Live.
Facebook Live. Oh man, I will deny it unless you got it in front of me. No, but yeah, I do love you, and I appreciate you very, very much.
Oh.
And now since I thank you, get off the couch. See?
All right, so the next person I'm gonna bring to the couch, we have two more people. The next person I'm gonna bring up to the couch is a person I think I've known this person probably the longest. This is the first friend that I've ever had in my life. They called us Siamese twins. They thought that we were, they think that I'm older.
That's right.
But he's actually older, so I would like to bring my brother up, Mr. Oliver Adderley. And the reason why I'm bringing him up to the couch is because, one, he is one of the most intelligent people that I know. He's the person who told me that if I learn football, that I was gonna get married. Long time ago when I was a kid, I used to be like, okay, I know it's the quarterback, because he was a quarterback. So I was like, I pay attention, I know the quarterback. So when I go out now, and I go out to the sports bars, and I know all the plays between him and Dwight. I know all of the plays, everything, right? So people think I really know about football. But my brother's one of the most intelligent people, and it warms my heart for us to be able to sit here on the couch together and then be in business together, because he is one of those people that at one time was like my credit partner, right? His credit has always been higher than mine. He's gonna talk about how what he went through as far as credit is concerned. But I did some things, and then his credit was like at 800. I was like 830 something. I was like, well, mine is the highest it's ever been was 816, and this one was 830. I was like, I don't understand. But anyway. So we're going to talk about some things. The reason why I brought him here, I wanted him to talk about real estate and the value of creating wealth through real estate, and how at one time you had a lot, and then a few, and then you lost everything, and then you're transitioned back. Because like I said, once again, this is another situation where people look and they say, this person has it all together, you know, and didn't understand and didn't realize and all the things that he had gone through. And one of the times that you had gone through such a really, really rough patch that you felt like you didn't even want to be here anymore either. Ray was saying. So that was one of the times, and when I talk about I'm not losing another person, I mean it. I'm not losing another person because of finances. That one day, Dwight, you remember that day? Yep, you remember that day. person came in, took all his money out. And he had 9, 10 homes, all of them in foreclosure. 2 vehicles repossessed. All of this happened in a matter of 45 days. For you to get a letter that says, thank you for refinancing your house with Aqua Mortgage. Everything wiped out. Came to our office and said he was going to 95 in the middle of rush hour traffic. And when I tell you that day, I will never, ever forget. Because the person who is the closest to me that I've known all of my life, this is the first person that I had as a friend to say, I can't take it anymore because of money. Because nobody had ever taught us that once you get to that point where you have amassed some type of wealth and you lose it, that you can come back from it. Where is that taught? So I'm gonna let him tell you his story.
She pretty much summed it up, but it was a very volatile time. We all happened to be blessed enough to be in the real estate game in the early 2000s. We all know how that went and how easy it was to acquire property. It was a plethora of money out there. The hedge funds was contributing, and everybody was just taking advantage of some things that were in place. And just like the gentleman, Mr. AJ said earlier, I didn't get a real estate license to buy and sell houses. I got a real estate license to learn the law and to really know what I could do, what I couldn't do. If I had to pull some strings or do some tricks that the beeper is not, the ethical, they don't play. You have to dot your I's and cross all your T's. So you can do some things wrong and it can get you some jail time and some other things. So I want to be abreast of that. The other side of it that, I kind of think it was a little bit of karma. We got very creative with some documents and we were able to amass a little wealth. And then, like she said earlier, in a matter of 45 days, I lost $3.4 million. And I was in a bad space. Because, as we know, we saw it coming. A lot of us saw it coming. We knew what was happening. And the whole mindset is, I'm too smart. It's not going to happen to me. We saw it coming out. Fortunately, I was able to get from up under a couple of them and sell them and had enough capital, and say, okay, let's just wait it out. And then once it blow over, then we'll be able to have enough capital, to go back in and do it again, do it differently or whatever. And fortunately for a lot of us in the industry at that time, it happened to everybody. It happened all across the United States of America, all across the country. The Great Recession, the market crash. Now, to my, thank God, because it happened to everybody, it was easily forgiven for everybody as well. Because with the predatory lending, we were able to take it and ride off of that. Lord knows we were praying too. P-R-E-Y, not P-R-A-Y. P-R-E-Y. So, because of predatory lending and all the things that the different lenders and things were doing, we were able to get from up underneath that weight. And I was able to, bounce back, helping my sister do what we do, getting the credit back right and getting everything. And we're in a position now where we can do some things again. And I thank the white for being up to me. Talk, but you can come back. You can come back.
you very much. All right. And the next person, the final person before we go on our breakout, is a person that I met. I was at a conference and I saw this gentleman sitting on this, well, he was on the stage and he was speaking my language. He was talking about insurance and he was talking about building wealth through insurances and securities. And I was like, and he was talking about doing it for people who look like me. And I said, oh, he's speaking my language. You know, he was talking about some of the things that people didn't talk to us about, you know. And I said, hey, I'm going to work with you. And he said, okay, give me a call. And so I've given him a call, probably more than he would like sometime. And he's the person who's responsible for making sure that I was trying to figure out a way that I wanted to make this event free, right? And he's the reason why you all are sitting here without having to contribute one dime to come out and get this information and get an opportunity to meet these people and work with them, okay? And that's Mr. Marcus Moon. This is the first time that I've ever seen him without a bow tie. I'm surprised.
Well, you told me you wanted people to feel comfortable. So I said, well, let me not wear a suit and a bow tie because they might think I'm here to try to take some money or something. I said, let me come casual. So we can just hang out.
Well, thank you very much.
Everybody put your purses, your pocketbooks away. We just gonna hang out.
We're gonna hang out. All right.
Unless you want to, no, I'm just kidding.
This is for you.
Now, is it for a female?
No, you're right.
I was trying to get some brownie points.
For your wife. Well, you know what? She actually can use this.
Good.
And your friend Michelle can too. They only gave me two.
We'll talk about it. We'll hold on to it. It's a collaboration.
Oh, okay.
We're going to talk about community today. Collaboration. The power of a network.
So, Marcus, thank you very much for coming, and thank you very much for making sure that all of my friends and family and my Facebook family is able to receive this information and get an introduction to some of the people that we're going to be working with, and there's some other people that we're going to be working with. Another gentleman that's in the back, I told you guys about him. Now I see you back, Vincent. Why are you looking around? Events in Israel is another component, and I'm going to bring him up after Marcus. But Marcus, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Michelle.
Introduce yourself to our family here.
So, my name is Marcus Moon. I work for New York Life, but I am not New York Life. And I'll share a little bit about that later. One of the things I'll share with you about New York Life, a lot of times when I give out my business card, the first thing people say is, oh, it's an insurance company. But the name of the company is actually New York Life Investment Management. We have three companies. We have New York Life Securities, Mainstay Investment, and then New York Life the Insurance Company. So we are actually a full brokerage service. But if you grew up like me, you don't know that life insurance companies are also a brokerage service, or that investment firms are sometimes life insurance companies. Because at the end of the day, it all goes hand in hand. So I always like to say that when I speak to people, because it's important for us to understand that when we're seeking help, and we're looking for different situations to get assistance with. Sometimes the answer is in the place that you least expect. Is that fair? Mm-hmm. And when I say I am not New York Life, New York Life is my broker dealer. I'm an individual contractor. I don't have a salary. So I don't work for. I used to work for Second Avenue. They paid me a salary for 25 years. I worked for them. New York Life didn't pay me a salary, so they are my broker dealer, but they are not me. But they are responsible for me being able to sit here today and be able to share with you wisdom and knowledge in the financial space. Because if it was not for New York Life, I would not know that financial advisors. I wouldn't know what a financial advisor is. I wouldn't really understand what life insurance is because I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama, and no one talked to me about the stock market. No one talked to me about life insurance. No one talked to me about investing in real estate. In fact, the first person that said anything about investing in real estate was my stepfather, and that was almost 2 decades later. So I was the first person to go to college on my mom's side. On my dad's side, he was the first. My sister was second. So we're still in a vacuum of escaping. Right now, as we move into the new decade, we are wrapping up the 400 years since slavery first started in 1619. And here we are in 2019. So that's a 400-year span. We're running a relay, and we still haven't left the start line. Y'all follow me? Because life is a relay race. Don't be fooled. So if you still at the start line and everybody else are left, and you're just now starting, then we don't have to be confused. And what we shouldn't be confused about is this. You break this down, 675,000. 675,000. That's how many millionaires was added to the United States of America in the past year. Now, if you want a part of that number, we're going to talk today about how can we be a part of that number, right? But 675,000 millionaires was added. So right now, the U.S. is at 18.6 million millionaires. Okay? Now, in the black community, we represent 34.7% of the U.S. population, but we only represent 8% of the millionaires. We have 5 billionaires, right? And because there's 5 of them, you know who they are. For the sake of time, I won't call their name. But Oprah Winfrey, right? John Smith, Jay-Z just joined the list, Michael Jordan, and then the other guy's name, what's his name? No, it's Lewis. Something Lewis. I'll go over it later. But here's the bottom line point. Out of those 5 billionaires, Michael Jordan has 1.9, Jay-Z got 1, Oprah got 2, John Smith that paid off Morehouse, he got 5, and then the other gentleman has 2. So you can do some quick math, right? That's 2, 7, 8, so that's about 8 billion total between the 5 of them. Jeff Bezos has 131 billion. And everybody that's in the top 10, you start at 40 billion if you're in the top 10. And all 5 of the ones from our community don't even equal out to 10. Okay? So when you do your research, you'll find that in the black community, you have a 6.4% chance to become a millionaire. In the Spanish community, 7. In the Asian community, 22.1, and in the white community, 20. I don't know how the Asians came here and beat everybody out like that. But if you don't have one in your community, you're not networking, maybe you need one. Right?
Restaurants, yeah.
So I share those numbers with you because I don't mean to keep going for too long, but I share those numbers with you for a reason. If there's 18.6 million millionaires, and we just added 675,000 in the past year, and that's not your story, then that's not fair, right?
Right.
That's not fair.
Right.
Because if we represent 34% of the U.S. population, that means we should have somewhere around 7 to 8 million millionaires. But we have 1.4 million millionaires. So the name of, remember I say I'm with New York Life, but I'm not New York Life. When I started learning from New York Life and I started getting all this knowledge and this wisdom, and I was just blown away seeing all that money move through that company. I was like $25 million policies, brokerage accounts with 50 million and all these crazy numbers. So when I started seeing all this stuff, I'm like, what in the world is this? When I used to work for Saks, we was bragging because we made $150,000 a year, $200,000 a year. We was getting $100,000, $50,000 bonus checks. We thought we was doing something. And when none of us invested in real estate, when none of us invested in the stock market, right, we was maxing out our 401ks because of what they told us to do. Wow. But we was just low level. We thought we was doing something. We're not doing nothing. So my financial literacy program is called Increase the Millionaire Factory. The word increase comes from my pastor in Birmingham. He said, God wants to increase you in every area of your life, spiritually, mentally, socially, physically, and financially. and then they would pass around the tithe place. Everybody was fired up. Right? Because you got me. So the word increase came from that. God wants to increase us in every area. I believe that. I'm being funny, but I believe that. The word millionaire factory is our purpose, our perspective in this new decade. These next 10 years, I speak this over all of you. In the next 10 years, all of you can become a millionaire. Are you afraid of that?
No. Receive that.
Are you afraid of that? No. Because fear and faith are not friends.
That's right.
And you can't be friends with both.
That's right.
You're going to have to tell one of them you got to go. Because you can't hang out with trouble. So if you're hanging out with fear, right, then you're going to have to decide over these next 10 years, fear, I'm letting you go because I got a new friend called Faith. And Faith has told me that in the next 10 years, I can become a millionaire. Because guess what? You can. You can. A lot of those 675,000 millionaires that was added in the past year was added in the stock market. And it's become taboo. You know, we love to talk about real estate, we love to talk about business, but we've forgotten that the stock market is like doubling. If you had invested $50,000 in Target, January 1, 2019, you would have $100,000 a day. Actually, 3 weeks ago, you'd have had $100,000. If you'd have invested the same amount of money in Walmart, January 1, 2019, you would have doubled your money. If you'd have invested the same money in Apple, January 1, 2019, you'd have almost tripled your money.
Jeez.
Now, I just listed basic places where you shop.
Yes.
Because if you shop somewhere and you're not investing in that place, you are an indentured servant, and you don't even know it. Now, that was mean. Don't pick me up. Like some of y'all was like, okay, I'm from Miami. What you doing? I saw some of y'all right up in y'all seats like, y'all better come up here. I'm 5'6", so there's no need to try to fight me. I'll just leave. You don't have to get angry. But yeah, if you know, it's funny to me, you know, being an investment advisor and understanding how this whole thing works. It's funny to me when I hear people talking about who they like, iPhone, Apple, or Samsung. And then I walk up and say, which one you invest in? And they say neither. And I say, what in the world are you talking about? Because you don't have an invested interest. So what difference does it make which one's the best? They making money off you, you're not making money off them. So I just listed Target. How many people shop at Target? Okay, so they took your money, but you didn't double your money. You might not want to raise your hand, but how many people shop at Walmart? Okay, everybody. But you could have doubled your money, right? And then where my Apple iPhone people? Where my Apple iPhone people? Okay, so you could have almost tripled your money. So in the breakout session today, I'm going to break this stock market thing down because we got to stop being afraid of the stock market. First of all, if things go wrong, you just pull your money out. Number one, wouldn't advise that, but you can just pull your money out. It's not like you have to sit there and just lose. So we're going to break it down today. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to break the stock market down in the breakout session so good to where you're going to walk away thinking you like an investment advisor. That's how much I'm going to break it down. And then on the other topic, because I know you want me to talk about life insurance. The United States of America has been in the human capital business since its inception. Am I right about it?
Yeah. I don't think they heard that.
I'm going to repeat that again. The United States of America has been in the human capital business since its inception. Meaning the United States of America built its wealth profiting off of human capital. And then we got the audacity to say we don't need life insurance. Now think about that now. Now you got a prison industry. You got a privatized prison industry that's pumping out $256 billion, which the gross domestic product for privatized prison is greater than 113 nations. And two of the largest companies is right here in Florida. So they profiting off of you, one way or the other. Whether it's predatory lending, the prison, there are ways. They used to take out life insurance, key man. You ever heard of key man life insurance? Yeah, that's what they used to take out on the slaves. So everybody else understands how to profit off of you, except for you. Now watch this. If you have a $60 million estate, do you need life insurance? It depends. But you don't need it for the reason the rest of us need it, right? You might need it for estate tax purposes. You might need it to fund a trust. right? You might need it to prevent selling off of assets, but you don't need it because you need 60 million. Now the rest of us, we need life insurance because we don't have $1 mil, $2 mil, $5 mil, $10 mil, $15 mil, $20 mil to pass. And because we don't have it to pass, guess what? The one way we can guarantee we will pass it is what? Life insurance. Because there's 2 guarantees in life. What are the 2 guarantees in life? Death and taxes. No, but watch this. Financial planning 101. If the 2 guarantees in life are death and taxes, then within your financial strategy, shouldn't you have a tax strategy and a death strategy? If those are the 2 guarantees.
Wow.
So life insurance has to, you know what I hate about life insurance? Is that it's called life insurance. I bet you if it was called inheritance insurance, everybody be lined up. Where I signed up, because I want $1 million inheritance.
That's right.
My dad just retired. I said, how much? How much we get?
How much we get?
His best friend is the executor of the trust. I was like, you got me. But y'all get what I'm saying?
Take this to him.
I might need to. Inheritance insurance. Start calling it that, and then maybe we'll start using it that way. Because here's the only thing I care about. When I joined New York Life, and I'll stop talking because I'll run up with the mouth. When I joined New York Life, what got me excited was we had the African American market unit. And what the African American market unit was doing, Cyril McSween was the first black person hired as a life insurance agent. They hired him because they thought he was Irish. But when he showed up, they saw he was black, and they said, well, you can't work here, because at that point, you couldn't be a life insurance agent if you were black. So Cyril McSween went to the corporate office in New York, met with the CEO, and says, look, I'm going to be a life insurance agent. He said, okay, I'll hire you as a broker, outside contractor, and you can just sell in your community. Cyril McSween made $1 million round table every single year that he was in the business. And then he opened up 7 McDonald's franchises. He went on to fund the SCLC, and he was Barack Obama's mentor. He died the night Barack Obama became president-elect. But before he died, he pulled Eugene Smith, who was no longer with New York Life. He pulled Eugene Smith to the side, and he says, we have to do something major in our community to get people to transition from burial policies to wealth transfer policies. Wealth transfer means we got to be talking millions, right? If you make $50,000 a year, you qualify automatically for 1.7 million. If you make $50,000 a year, you're between the ages of 0 and 40. Let me be more specific. If you're between the ages of 0 and 40 and you make $50,000 a year, you qualify for 1.7 million. When Nipsey Hussle passed away, he had $1 million. He probably should have had 25, 30 million. That's multi-generational wealth. $1 million is $50,000 a year for 20 years. Does that sound like a lot of money to you? No. So we got to start talking multi-meals. So the purpose of the African American Community Empowerment Plan was if we could get 250,000 families to get 250,000 in life insurance, that's 50 billion in future wealth. That's what this pen means. That was Cyril McSween's dream. That was his mission that he left to us. We executed the mission 4 years ago. No, 3 years ago. Whenever the African American Museum opened is when we achieved the goal of 50 billion in total coverage nationally. And then we hung Cyril McSween's plaque in the African American Museum. Now here is a man who was told because you're black you can't sell life insurance. And he led to all of us understanding that it's more than a burial policy, it's about wealth transfer. So if you got a $25,000 policy, a $50,000 policy on your job, or a $100,000 policy, whoever you sat down with has already given you the wrong message. Because you don't need life insurance to be less than $1 million. If you can afford it, you don't need to be less than $1 million. And guess what? Term will pay when you die, just like cash value. So you don't need to be embarrassed. Oh, I just got a term policy. Well, if you die tomorrow, I'm getting $1 million, no matter what it's called. Y'all follow me? From a financial planning standpoint, there is no such thing as a bad financial instrument. There's a such thing as a bad person for the instrument or a bad reason for the instrument. But the instruments are fine. It's how we use them is wrong. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? So I'm going to say it again. Here we go. Punch your neighbor. Over the next 10 years, each and every single one of you have everything inside of you. 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 1. It says, everything that you need is inside of you pertaining to life and godliness. All you got to do is get out of the way and use it. Is that fair? Is that fair? So I speak that over you. I hope you receive it. But more importantly, I hope I'm going to show you some real actions today that can get you on the path to making it happen. Right? I met a young lady out here. I won't call her name. But I said, yeah, we got to start spending. We got to start buying outfits and worry about how we look in the outfit. We got to invest that money. Now, she told me to better not point her out because she will jack me up. So I'm not going to point her out. But spending is decrease. Investing is increase. $1.7 trillion in spending power is not a badge of honor. Because we like to brag about that number. Oh, we got spending power. I said, have you ever seen a Lamborghini commercial? You want to know why you ain't seen one? Because the people that can afford it are not watching TV. They out there getting it. Think about that. Do you see luxury commercials? No. So we can't brag about being spenders. There's nothing to brag about if you're a spender. That means you are decreasing your wealth. But I'm going to show you today how to create something that's called passive income. And how to move over into an area of learning how not to spend my money. I spend my passive income, I invest my earned income. That's the formula. For those of you that might leave and don't come to my breakout, that's what I'm talking about. But in order for you to become a millionaire, you're going to have to learn how to invest your earned income and spend your passive income, which means if you don't have passive income,
Can't speak.
now y'all want to come up here and fight. Learn how to walk in love and stop trying to fight everybody. Don't get angry with me. But if you don't have passive income, then your New Year's resolution is, I'm not spending.
Right.
Now that sounds harsh, don't it? But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take sacrifice.
Thank you very much, sir. I greatly appreciate it.
You put New York Life on this, you put this up there. I am not New York Life. I'm representing. Well, that cut my face. I gave y'all enough anyway. Y'all see how you treat me?
Well, thank you very much, Marcus, and I
You're
look
welcome.
forward to working with you, and I hope that you will join us on the.
My breakout session will be right here.
Okay, all right.
So my breakout session will be right here.
So one more person I want to bring up, and then we'll be able to. So the next person that I want to bring up really quickly before we go, when they're talking about, when he mentioned 675,000 millionaires, I am proud to say that we do have one of those 675,000 millionaires in the room, and true enough, we can say that he doesn't watch TV because I can't say he doesn't. What? No, I don't even think he watches Netflix. He doesn't watch. Oh, he watches Netflix. But he's one of those people that Lamborghini did not get him from watching television. So I'm going to bring Mr. Evenson Israel up to the front. He didn't know he was coming. So this is one of the 675 millionaires that we have. And Vincent, thank you for joining me on the couch and putting you on the spot. Right, I put you on the spot really quickly. But I wanted you to talk about your transitioning from where you were to where you are now, and what it took as far as your mindset to deal with where you were, where you started, and where you are now. So, and what they're going to look forward to, and some of the things on their journey to wealth that they may encounter. So.
Well, appreciate you for having me. Putting me
Thank
on the
you.
spot.
I know.
I was very fortunate to have a tough life growing up, and I say fortunate because it forced me to become the person that I am today. I grew up with the lights cutting off every other month. Grew up with water cutting off, the city coming up. It almost got to a point where I started knowing the people that were cutting off the lights and water.
Wow.
And it's very, very funny because we moved into the new community that we live in, and one of our neighbors, I think something happened to the power grid. They were working on the power,
Right.
she started freaking out. She said, oh, the lights off, the lights off. I've been here for 12 years. I've never seen that happen. I was like, really? Like, I'm used to this happening. But, you know, I think the biggest thing that as an entrepreneur, you know, a lot of people say they want to be an entrepreneur, they want to achieve certain things in life. You really have to know what you want, and you really have to know that you're going to be successful. I remember there was a time where I deposited $100 in my bank account, and my receipt showed a balance of $3, right? And I still have that picture to this day. So which means my bank account was negative $97. And I took a picture of that as I was driving down the road, and I remember there was a TD Bank on San Road in US 1. I took a picture of that receipt because I knew that this was not my my situation forever. It was this current situation. It didn't bother me. So you really have to know where you're going, and you have to know that you have to want it as much as you want to breathe, right? And people say that a lot, and I'm sure you guys hear that a lot. But you really have to, because there's going to be a lot of struggles. It's not easy, and it's still not easy to this day. It's nothing easy. I was one of the things that I was very excited and happy about was hearing about other millionaires in the room. As far as as Marcus was talking about, especially in our community, things like that make me very happy to see a lot more of us, a lot more millionaires. Because the only thing better than 1 millionaire is a few. So I think the biggest reason for my success is my struggles that I've had in the past, and also having good people around me as well.
And you want to talk about you started at CBS and your manifestation.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I got my first job at 16 years old, working at CBS, and the primary reason I got that job was because of growing up with a single mother, watching her struggle. The biggest thing for me was trying to figure out how to help her, right? So as I was going to school, my goal was to be a doctor. I wanted to be an anesthesiologist. I did pretty well in school. I did pre-med at eventually high school. I had a year of college done when I was in high school. So I was very motivated because I had a tough life. So I was trying to figure out a way to make it out. But I figured out early on that I didn't really have 8 years or 12 years to do that because we were struggling, right? So I was trying to figure out how to make it out. And when I was working at CVS as a cashier at 16, I was very observant. Anytime I seen somebody came in that had a nice watch or they had a nice car. One time I seen an American Express black card. Right, so I started asking these people what do they do for a living, because I wanted to have the lifestyle that they had or had what they had. So, and they all kept telling me one thing: is I own this, I own that. So at 16, 17 years old, I realized, hey, if I wanted to be successful and had this certain lifestyle that these other people had, I need to own something, right? And I didn't have a lot of money. I was making $7.50 an hour. I couldn't go out and buy a franchise or buy another business. So I started, how do I get involved in? I got involved in network marketing at first, and started doing some things online. So that's how pretty much I got started.
And that quick story about the guy who came in who had a picture of the I love that story.
Oh.
Yeah, when you work in the photo area.
Yeah,
So we're talking about manifestation really.
Yeah. So I've had so there was so they transitioned me because I was doing pretty well. They transitioned me from cashier to photo department, and I eventually started working in the pharmacy as well. They even wanted me to be a manager, but they wanted to pay me 50 cents more. That's crazy, right? I did the math. I was like, man, I'll be making like $20 more a week. But we had a customer came in, and when I was working in the photo department, and he came in and some pictures of cars. I think they were just opening a dealership, and there was a bunch of pictures of Lamborghinis. And I said, man, as a kid, you see like Lamborghinis and Ferraris driving down the street, and you envision that. So I asked him if I could have some copies of those pictures, and I still have those till this day.
Right.
So I've had that picture since I was 17 years old, and I still have them. And then eventually ended up getting a brand new Lamborghini as well. But that's from, like she was talking about, like, I'm still learning how to pronounce her name because I know how important it is. But that's the power of manifestation. And a lot of times when we think of that, we think of like, oh, this stuff doesn't work, or it's just like, you know, voodoo, whatever it is, right? It's extremely important. Like, I daydream a lot, right? And I go walking a lot. Anytime
Yes,
Michelle
you
calls me, like, I'm walking 3-4 times a day because that's how I think, right? So I daydream a lot, and some people might say it's wasting time, but to me, that's how I attract what I want in my life, right? You have to daydream, you have to really think about it, you have to manifest what you want, and then once you know what you want, you really got to put action in place and start working towards what you want. Because you could say, you know, I want this, I want that. It doesn't mean anything, right? You got to work for it, right? So having that picture and looking at it every single time, I had it on my wall, right? So eventually that, you know, I ended up getting that same car, right? The newer version. I ended up getting that car.
Yeah. So I just want to say again, thank you for coming, and this is, you know, a prime example of hard work, manifestation, and we're going to be doing some things together. You guys will be able to see or join us on some of the things that we're going to do this year, and some wealth retreats that we'll have, and then we'll have some other people that will come in and we'll sit down and spend a couple of days together and really get down into the nitty-gritty of how he was able to achieve millionaire status at such a young age. Became a millionaire at age what, 26, 25?
Yeah, it took me 10 years to make my first million. I think it was like 27,
Yeah.
right? And it took me 6 months to make the second million, right? So that just goes to show you, don't give up, right? You go through all this struggle and you fail. A lot of people are scared of failure and they're scared of losing money. It's part of the process. Every single entrepreneur in this room will tell you that they've lost money. They've lost it, getting back, lost it. You can't avoid it, right? So just go show you 10 years to make the first one, another 6 months to make the second one.
And then 3 months to make the third.
Correct. So, you know, we're still going, but with that being said too, I want to give a lot of credit to my wife as well, right? My wife, Regine. You know, I always hear this, you know, behind every successful man is a powerful woman. And, you know, I didn't really understand that. As I was a kid and I was younger, I was like, what's that mean? Like, I'm doing all the work. But, you know, I later realized that, you know, having somebody that could be with you from when you have $20 and trying to figure out how to eat for a week and that $20 is very important to have that same person when you have millions and millions of dollars to have to back you up. And she does like so much in the back. Like some of the stuff that she does, like, I have no idea how she does it. Like you were talking about earlier, but like she gets it done and it allows me to focus on what I need to be focused on. So a lot of credit goes out to her as well too.
So I know, Stephon, you were right. So thank you, Facebook, for joining us. Thank you. So I know we took a little longer than anticipated, but I think